All right, guys, you should see a table in front of you with our x values going from -1 all the way to 6, and our y values having a 1 under the -1, a 16 under the 1, a 64 under the 2, a 256 under the 3, a blank under the 4, 40, 96 under the 5, and another blank under the 6. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to determine whether this is linear or exponential. Remember, if this is linear, then we will add the same amount as we travel to the right or subtract the same amount. If this is exponential, we will be multiplying by the same amount as we travel to the right. So let's start with the 16. From 16 to get to 64, the best way to find out what it would add would be to subtract the 2. So let's go ahead and take 64 and subtract 16. This is going to give us 48. So if this were linear, we would be adding by 48 as we travel to the right. Now, some of you will add 48 to 64 in your heads and realize, well, it's definitely not going to be 256. But let's go ahead and make sure by taking 64 and adding it to 48. This gives us 112, and since 256 is clearly not 112, we know we are not dealing with a linear function. Let's check to see if it's exponential. The way we can do that is by taking any y value and dividing it by the y value that comes before it. So let's start with 256 and divide 64 and see what number we get. As you can see, we get the number 4. That means that if you multiply 64 by 4, you get 256. Let's see if the same is true by dividing 64 by 16. And we also get 4. This means that if we multiply by 4, we will get the answers that come next. Let's find out what comes next after 256 by multiplying it by 4. This gives us 1024. Let's go ahead and fill that in. Let's confirm that 4096 is 1024 multiplied by 4 by actually doing that. So we already have the 1024. Let's multiply it by 4. And we get 4096, which is what we should have gotten. Let's multiply it once more by 4 to finish out the right side of the table. We get 16,384, 16384. We've now completed the right side of our table. Now, in order to find the left side, we can take this number and multiply it by 4, or we can take our 16 and divide it by 4. Traveling backwards, remember, we divide as opposed to traveling forwards where we multiply. Let's take 16 divided by 4 and find out what that is. And we get the number 4. This means that our y-intercept is 0, 4, and as we move to the right, we are multiplying by 4, so our multiplier is 4. These are the two most important parts of finding out any exponential function. We know the multiplier is 4, and we know that the y-intercept is 0, 4. This also concludes this video.